Yo, people, welcome to another episode of Football Heritage. I think you should know us by now. Well, this is like episode 7 or 8 now, I think. But yeah, you guys should get to start to know us now. But obviously, the usuals like, comment, and subscribe. Follow the Instagram, Football Heritage. We need to start posting that a bit more. But don't worry, It will soon come. We'll start being more active. Twitter page might be coming soon. You know the rest, obviously, all of that. Like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, man, moving straight into the football. Hey, this weekend, Liverpool, Man City, 4-1, and it's looking peak for Liverpool right now. I can't lie to you. But before we look at Liverpool, let's give our props to Man City. You know, I think that was their first win in like 18 years. You know, they did their thing, especially second half. But what are general thoughts on the game, and does that cement Man City as now being the title favourites? Sarah.
Yeah, I think they are title favourites. They did the first half was a bit, we thought it was going to be another 0-0, a bit of a drab affair, but they really showed their dominance in the second half, took advantage of a few mistakes, and I think what was really important was the tactical decisions that were made at half time, which sort of shaped the way that the game went. Yeah, but so I think City are title favourites now, and I think whoever goes above them, they're gonna have to do something really special. Focusing maybe a bit more on the game. At half time, we saw a tactical switch where it went to a 4-4-2. We saw Bernardo Silva got front, Mahrez and Phil Foden, or not Phil Foden, Sterling to deal with Trent and Robertson, which really nullified the threat. And then they couldn't really deal with it. I think obviously they got the penalty, which I mean we can moan about as much as we want. It is a penalty, despite it was Salah being very theatrical. And yeah, I think after Alisson's mistakes, I think the game sort of went out of Liverpool's hands, and Phil Foden sort of ran the show. We saw a 20-year-old who some may argue is probably the best youngster in the league, in the country, and yeah, he really turned on the burners, playing in that false nine role, linking the play up well, where there hasn't been a lot of consistency in that role, for Pep's team. But obviously, if any manager is going to be able to run a false nine system consistently without a striker, remember they had Jesus on the bench as well. I think that's going to be Pep. So yeah, I think you see title contenders, and Liverpool. Well, we'll see what happens in the next few days. But Klopp ended the day with Alisson's cold feet.
For real, man. For real, Liverpool, they're in trouble right now. But then, so what's our thoughts on City right now? They're cemented. They're certified now.
Yeah, I think it's a given. I see you're gonna win the league. Like, I don't think anyone can dispute that they're a significant amount of points above United and Liverpool and Leicester, with a game in hand as well. So I don't think anyone's gonna catch City. I think they've done well. A lot of people didn't expect them to win the league this year. Everyone expected Liverpool to repeat. I had a feeling that City would do well, but they lost a couple players like with Leroy Sané, etc., etc. But I feel like they're a better squad. They play better as a team together. Even with De Bruyne being out injured, like players like Gundogan have stepped up. So they're handling it very well, and I think they'll win the league.
What are you saying, Daniel, about it?
I think City impressed quite a lot of people with that performance. Obviously, Liverpool, even though Liverpool haven't been the same Liverpool, they're still a very good team, and especially at Anfield, even though they lost at Anfield previously to Burnley and Brighton, it's still a very hard place to go to. And I think City hadn't won. I think you said City hadn't won there for 18 years or something like that. So for them to go and not just win, but to effectively smash Liverpool at Anfield, and the way they done it was very impressive. I think, despite missing the penalty, I think Gundogan was very, very good. I think Foden was good. Bernardo Silva was good, and the defense was also very solid. I think that penalty was debatable, to say the least, and apart from that, I think they were solid defensively, and they have to be title favourites going forward. I don't think you can really make an argument for anyone else. Just how dominant City have looked and how professionally, really, they've conducted their business.
Mm-hmm. All right, what are your thoughts on City?
I saw a lot of like rivals celebrating when De Bruyne got injured, but a lot of people don't understand that the way City is set up, they don't really rely on one person to get the job done. They really have a lot of players who really can't compare them to somewhere like Spurs and let's say Kane when Kane goes missing, or even let's say Barcelona when they don't have Messi, or even United probably if they don't have Bruno. I mean, I don't think we've really seen them without Bruno, so we can't really say. But yeah, City don't really have a main man. They just have a lot of quality players. So when De Bruyne went, I wasn't really too bothered about their title. I still thought that they were going to push for it. They played very well against Liverpool. Second half, they just ran the show. Foden looked class. Gundogan has been scoring. He's playing. He's no longer playing deep before. I don't know why Pep used to play him deep. He didn't really look too comfortable playing deep, but now he looks better in moving forward, getting his goals. Yeah, I think they would obviously probably go on to win the title, maybe even maybe one of the other domestic cups as well. We'll see how it goes.
Hmm. Question for everybody. Someone that I know has been talking about Ellison. Do we have to push him down a couple rankings for those two mistakes?
As in the best goalkeeper in the league.
Yeah.
I mean,
Edison's been quality this season.
You know what? Being a goalkeeper is actually really tough because your reputation is really gone by even just
Fragile.
it's
one game.
hanging by a thread. It's by a thread. Yeah.
It really starts to, because I mean, attackers they can have bad games for but once they just start picking, everybody forgets those bad run of games and stuff like that. So I don't know, but I wouldn't say we should drop him. I mean, even De Gea, who has made so many mistakes, I mean, people still regard him as at least still a good goalkeeper. So it's not really. It would take a really massive, like, for him to continuously keep doing this for us to degrade him a bit again. I still think he's the best, just by a stretch.
Or I kind of disagree low key because I feel like obviously, like you said, the goalkeepers get scrutinized based on like a couple mistakes, but what makes you the top goalkeeper is you not making those mistakes. And we have to look at Edison.
Good point.
In a big
Edison
game as
hasn't,
well.
Edison hasn't been making those mistakes. Like we've seen
this
the Gea
season
come
or
under
this season
scrutiny.
or last season?
We're
This
talking about this season. We're talking about
This season's fair enough. I think.
Well, yeah,
Even-
I say this season you have to give it to Edison because of
And clean sheets as well. He's got how many?
Alisson's made mistakes. De Gea's made mistakes. De Gea was never in the running, to be honest, but De Gea's been making mistakes too. I feel like when keepers make mistakes, you have to scrutinize them because of their job is to literally not make mistakes. Another keeper we have to look at as well is Nick Pope in Burnley. He's doing pretty well. So I know Dan's making that face, but he's a good keeper too.
Martinez probably the
Martinez
top
as
three
well.
will probably be
So
maybe
they're
Edison,
good keepers out
Martinez,
there.
and maybe
Yeah.
Torres.
I might caveat that a little bit by saying I think over the last couple of years, I think Alisson and Edison are level. I know it sounds a bit odd, but I think sheer shot stopping, I think Alisson's better. But if we're talking about overall game and the impact on a team, I think Edison's impact is huge on that team. Obviously, ball playing, the defense splitting passes across the back line. I don't think we can judge Alisson on these last couple of games. But also, I'd like to also mention, I didn't actually think Alisson has been the best goalkeeper in the world for the past couple of years. I still think Oblak's probably been.
Oblak, yeah.
You said he was the best in the world, man. That's just
a lot of people.
I know what you mean.
Of people.
Oblak and Neuer are still, and even to Sagan as well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And with the top three, one name that you didn't mention, you wouldn't say to Sagan.
Really? He saved Barcelona a lot of times.
I wouldn't say him either. I wouldn't
You say Neuer.
Yeah,
Neuer has to be.
Exactly.
Oblak Neuer is kind of tough. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Neuer first, Oblak, then maybe Alisson. Yeah. That's probably what I'll go for.
But you know
I
what's
think
also
Teste
key as
gonna
well? Last year as well, Man City also had the most clean sheets as well. So Edison didn't play poor last year.
But he made a couple of high-profile errors.
Yeah,
I
he made
remember,
mistakes. He made mistakes. But if we're talking about consistency, then
In my
there's not
opinion,
much difference.
Alisson
So
is
when,
still.
when you use the I know the only way people use metrics to measure goalkeepers are by clean sheets, but if you really think about it, it's usually the defense at the end of the day.
That's
There's really
true.
not much a keeper can do if the centre back
No.
decides to
Mm.
make a hammer and stuff like that. But it's the only way people can it's the only stats people use to measure goalkeepers. I mean, people use other stats, but it's the main stat people use. So I guess but clean sheets is just kind of like you
It's
can't
a
really
collective
tell.
effort. It's not just
Yeah, that's the thing. And one thing with the top three goalkeepers, one guy he never gets his credit is Schmeichel. Schmeichel's better than Pope in my opinion. Schmeichel is definitely there.
Schmeichel is
No, he's been consistent. Schmeichel's there. He's better.
He's better than Pope, but I don't know about top three in the league. Because in my opinion, I think Martinez is probably better than Schmeichel.
I disagree, bro.
I think Martinez is a quality
Nah.
keeper. Like, look at the way he's changed Villa completely.
I think Schmeichel's
Villa last year were a shambles at the back. They were a shambles.
But the
This
gap
year-
between them isn't anything really. It's like
I mean, it is.
I think Schmeichel has a good defense. Schmeichel has a good defense in front of him.
Villa
I
have
think
a good defense right now.
Huh?
Villa have a good defense right now as well.
Based on Martinez, I think the fact that he's so commanding, he gives confidence to them, and the fact that he's a good shot stopper, they let in less than they would. Because last year they were a shambles at the back.
Well, I wouldn't say too much about top three. I know Alisson, Edison, obviously top two, but I can't really say who's the third.
The third spot's quite hard. I think
There's a lot of keepers that you could.
De Gea is still a quality keeper, regardless of what happens.
I
think he's just all right. I think
Really?
it's De Gea's reputation that's really just saved him.
Yeah, I think Schmeichel's probably better than De Gea right now.
Yeah, probably.
It's
harsh. It's harsh.
De
But
Gea
like
reached
Ori said,
like
we're
a
looking at the
very
past.
high peak. De Gea reached like a very, very high peak. Like even Neuer for the past couple of seasons, Neuer had a bit like he was off.
Yeah, he
like,
did.
He was down. He got that injury as well.
Because of his reputation, once he comes back to it, nobody really, it's not really. That's why I think De Gea, no one is really giving too much thought because they think that if he does come back, he would be back to his best. So yeah.
But anyway, moving on from goalkeepers and Liverpool's goalkeeper, let's look at just the team in general. Like, what are the couple things that we're noticing that's like the issue with Liverpool? Because maybe one thing is you could say Fabinho and Henderson not being in the midfield is affecting their ability to gain those turnovers, because Liverpool system is always about pressing high, winning the ball as high up as possible, which obviously then they can score. The fact that now they're probably having to play slightly more, how would you say it? They're having to play a bit more, try and have to break down teams instead of, obviously they've always had to do that anyway, but the increased nature of it is probably affecting them in terms of like their turnovers. They're not getting as much as before. But yeah, what's our general thoughts on Liverpool's like issues right now? And how do you think they could even rectify that? So yeah, what are your thoughts, sorry?
Obviously everybody knows Van Dijk being out is a huge blow for them.
Mm-hmm.
But because everybody has issues within the team. So I don't know, when you rely on a player too much, it's so risky in a team, because like when they go, it's just complete shambles. Then midfield as well, like you said, because they're having to play Henderson in centre back position, so it's not looking. I mean, they're not fielding the same team they were last season, so I guess you could give them a bit of leniency, but still, at the end of the day, some of the results, losing to Brighton and Burnley at home, you shouldn't be. Even if like just your main centre back goes out, you should still be able to get results in those kind of games. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's not looking very bright for them. What can they do to change that? I think they need a new striker as well. I think it's about time now, because Firmino has been given a bit of a chance. I mean, he had a good assist today, but it's just not looking very. I still think they need a new striker. Salah's obviously still good there. Mane, Mane's been off form a bit, but he's still a quality player. Then yeah, once Fabinho and Henderson are back in midfield, I think they should get back to playing the way they were before. But it may take some time though, because when you start losing form, everything just starts looking like looking very dark and stuff like that. It doesn't look promising. So I guess we just have to see where it takes them.
What's your thoughts, Stan, on Liverpool?
I think some of it might just be fatigue. I think they've just been running to the ground for almost 3 years now and had relative to no rest, especially considering like last season, the turnover to this season was very short. So I think it may be weighing on them a bit more than other teams, which is why we're seeing the effects, which obviously it's not really their fault, but it's something to factor in. And the fact that they've had injuries to a lot of their defenders, obviously their three first defenders in Van Dijk, Matip, and Gomez are out, which doesn't help them. But I think just basic things is causing them problems. Like, for example, for the goal that Foden scored, I think Robertson was a bit slow closing him down, which is very unlike Robertson. I think Jamie Carragher was touching on it when he was talking about it. He said that Robertson of last year or the year before would have gone to Foden quicker and maybe stop the chance from being created. But obviously that's if, buts, and maybes, and we can only go on what we've seen. So as for Liverpool, I think this season I don't think they're going to win the title. I think they probably do need to start looking at top four, and then in the summer, Jurgen Klopp has to go and demand for some investment, because if he's going to compete for the title, in my opinion, I don't think you can compete with the title again with players like Firmino starting, because he's been poor for the past couple of seasons. I think the probably the midfield needs a freshen up as well. Obviously, Wijnaldum's going. They brought in Thiago, and he's a very good player, but he's not looked as good as he is in that Liverpool system. So I think they probably do need to freshen up the team a little bit, because it's not looked good at all this year. And obviously that is down to some injuries, but even against teams like Burnley and Brighton at home, you can't put that down to injuries. Like Van Dijk, Matip, and Gomez are not going to be the ones scoring goals. So the fact that you're not scoring against Burnley and Brighton at home is not down to injuries. It's down to poor performance, really.
What about you, Denzel? What's your thoughts on Liverpool's current standings? How they can fix it as well?
I think it's just injuries. That's the main thing with Liverpool, is the injuries happening to the team. Obviously, they have no Virgil van Dijk, no Gomez, no Matip. So they're playing Henderson at centre back. Obviously, they've addressed it with signing the guy from Schalke, and there was another guy where he came from the lower leagues.
Davis.
Yeah. Was it Preston? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Preston.
Yeah. So they've addressed it, but those are obviously short-term solutions. In terms of going into the summer transfer window, I don't know, because there's no point in going and investing on another big centre back, because if you have 3 good centre backs, it's just that they're injured at the moment. So I don't think like going and splashing the cash on a centre back is necessary per se. Maybe one, but when you look at the centre back market, there's a lot of good centre backs, but I don't think they need to per se, because they have Joe Gomez and Matip to complement Van Dijk, and when they're all healthy, they have one of the better defenses in the league. Like Dan was saying with Firmino, I think that they need to replace Firmino, because if you need a centre forward that's actually scoring goals, you can't always rely on Salah and Mane, because when Salah and Mane aren't performing, there's no source of goals. The wing backs, I feel like just going for a rough patch. The center of the pitch could do with 1 or 2 replacements, maybe. We know Thiago he's doing it. I don't really know what to say about Thiago, to be honest. I think it's too early. I think it's a bit harsh. Henderson will probably always be in there. He's the captain. Wijnaldum obviously probably going, so they'll probably need a replacement in that area. But they don't really have too much to do to get them going again, in my opinion. I feel like next season will be better for them.
What about you, Sarah? What's your thoughts?
I have no sympathy whatsoever. Simple as that. The guy doesn't rotate to save his life. Okay, Jamie Carragher did something very, very important a couple of days ago on Sky Sports. Robertson has played 94% of all minutes available in the Premier League for the past 2 seasons. If you look at the most minutes played in the top 10, guess how many Liverpool players there are in that top 10 list?
Probably 10.
Five players. There's 5 players. I think it's Salah, Firmino, Mane, and then Wijnaldum and Robertson. Yeah, it's just not. I don't know how you can expect a front three and those fullbacks to continue playing that amount of minutes for 4 seasons in a row. We look at all the great front threes; they didn't last more than 3 years. Particularly in one where it's so reliant on Salah. Mane progresses the ball. Firmino, links up the play, but Salah's the only one who's finishing those chances. Generally speaking, I think also Fabinho and Henderson, considering where they're playing. Liverpool haven't, apart from the City game, they haven't been conceding a lot of goals, which is a good thing, I suppose. But I mean, Henderson's distribution, I think that's the thing he gets praised about the most. I think once he goes back into that midfield, there might be a bit of a change. But in my eyes, there's no point of them being linked with like Renato Sanchez, Florian Neuhaus if they're not going to play those players. And if Klopp can't integrate technical midfielders into his team properly and rely on Wijnaldum as a safe pair of hands, then I'm a bit worried about them as well. We've seen them be so intricate with their switches of play, progressing up the pitch really quickly, not stopping to build up play, just getting on with it straight away. Now they're having to adapt and play through the middle, and it's not worked so far, if we're being honest. So it'd be interesting to see with that. I also think as well, because Trent especially isn't used to playing up against teams that are going to not sit off him and have like 50% possession, his 1v1 defending, it could be improved a lot. We've already known that as well for quite some time, and that's where Gomez is also very important because he covers. It's not just Van Dijk who covers, but Gomez covers for when Trent and Robertson push forward. Henderson forms that back three. Fabinho forms as part of that back three. I think Klopp, and also I think, we talk about how Liverpool have a very, very good, efficient scouting system with that. I think it's Michael Edwards finds gems in very bad teams like Kabak. Schalke are a very bad team at the moment, but Kabak seems to be a gem in that team. But it's going to get to a point where that's going to catch up with them, and I don't know if that's sustainable. It catches up with everybody just spending 2 million on players, 1 million players. It looks like Upamecano's going to Bayern Munich, so we don't know exactly who else they could get, or whether or not they're actually going to get anybody. Because at the end of the season, they could have like 6 centre backs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Just one quick thing I want to go off. I remember you were talking about Thiago when he was coming and how I think you were saying how people like overstated like what he does. I just want you to like go over what you were saying before because it was actually quite interesting.
The expectations of players of what he was coming to the team to do was a little bit overstated. I don't know what a lot of people were really expecting him to come and do. Maybe some people have started using metrics like goals and assists to rate him. I mean, that's not what he really does in the team. He really just gets the ball, moves around with it, plays.
He's a progressor, isn't it? He's a facilitator of the midfield.
Yeah.
Type of player. But like we've all said in Liverpool, they don't really play that type of football per se. They don't really need anyone to really hold on to the ball and just they need people to get the ball and release it quickly for the 4 players. So the style doesn't really match the type of play. And also I just also thought that that last Bayern team, every single player in the team, a lot of people overstated and hyped up their abilities to some extent. As much as I do like other European leagues, I do think Bundesliga a bit it can be a bit questionable with the quality that's being played there. I mean, he did show it obviously in the Champions League, so I guess you can't really say. But then when you come to in our league is just very different, and I think everybody already knows that by now. When you're playing against, other types of midfield. I mean, today he was going up against Leicester, who have a very good midfield in Didi, Tillemans, and Madison, and at the end of the day, you just have to, try and match the quality, and sometimes it can be tough. But yeah, I guess we can just, give him time. Eventually, with coaching, and he can eventually adapt to the team and their playing style and stuff like that. So I just don't think it's something we should just be too harsh on a bit. But yeah, they really did, the media also really set him up, for stuff like this. And now he's being trolled on the internet, normal media stuff. So I guess it's just, people, raise the expectations of these players, and when they come and they don't, if you start doing some magic, they all start trolling them. But I guess we just have to wait and see and not just be too harsh in judgments.
But moving on to another apparent title
Wait,
challenger.
Josh.
Yeah.
Before you move on, can I ask one question?
What?
When are we going to start to have the conversation about Trent Alexander-Arnold? Because against Man City, he looked very, 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 very poor defensively. Very poor
I
defensively.
don't know how you can call him one of the best fullbacks in the world. He can't
That's what I'm
defend
saying.
at
But
all.
The
I
word
thought we already-
generational was being thrown out, and
Like-
that has no place next to that man's name.
No. I agree with what you're saying. He's not a generational talent. He's not a fantastic fullback. And I think we've all gathered that he's not strong defensively.
That's
But
been
the-
known for 3 or 4 years.
And the way,
though. I
the way
feel
he was
like-
getting exposed, every
Yeah, I
time
know.
Raheem
I've always-
Sterling
I've
went
always
down,
had
I've always had the Trent agenda, but at the end of the day, he's still a quality player, I have to say, because I mean,
But because he has goals and assists, that's not your primary job.
You know what it is. You know what it is. He's a quality player, but he's a trash defender.
he's limited.
You're a defender and you can't defend.
That's the
What is
point.
going on?
yeah, I
He
mean,
was
He
abysmal.
needs to work on it.
He was
yeah,
abysmal.
he's still young, so I guess it's not. He's just 22 or something, so I guess it's not. You can't just write off his defensive ability, and eventually he could, change position, or if a team that needs wing back, I really see him doing good as a wing back. It'll be way better.
I don't see, as a wing back, no.
I don't think
I
he's
see
good
midfielder.
enough.
I think a
I
midfielder.
don't think
Yeah, he used to
I don't
play
know. I
in
don't think
midfield. He used
he
to play
can't
in
beat a
midfield.
player one-on-one. He can't dribble past a player.
Mm.
So as a wing back, I don't think he'd be good enough.
I think a midfielder. His passing range is very good, so I feel like
In the academy, he used to
Yeah,
play as
to be
in
fair,
midfield.
when Liverpool are Liverpool, it doesn't really show. So I mean, the past 2 seasons, I mean, when he did have to defend, he did obviously get caught out, but still, it wasn't too bad or obvious because Liverpool were dominating. So I think just because Liverpool are poor now, that's why people are starting to pick on
I think
him.
that says more about the team than him though, because like they were good, so they could cover for his mistakes. But when there's no Van Dijk, when there's no Gomez to cover for him,
because
Raheem Sterling's track.
every
He was
player
doing
has
everything he wanted.
every player has their weaknesses, but when a team or as a whole is not playing well, that's when everybody's weaknesses start to actually. Even Salah's weaknesses have shown this. I mean, he's obviously the highest goal scorer, but still, there's really still much more that he can offer to his game that But then Mane has been off form. I mean, Firmino for a while too. Everybody's seen that. I mean, Robertson is still, good, but
Nah,
He's
he's
been the
been
most
quality.
consistent player. He's been the most consistent player.
He's been
Yeah,
quality, and that's the
100%.
difference.
he's just a
That's the
very good
difference.
player. Yeah, that's just the thing about him. Then Allison, I mean, recently now started making mistakes. So, when a team is just off for everybody's mistakes just really start to,
But with Trent, this is nothing new though. Like everyone's known that he's been really bad defensively. So the fact that people are calling him generational and people are saying he's one of the best talents in the world, in my opinion, was shocking. Like, how can you call him generational when teams are actively targeting him? Teams are saying, we're going after you. How can you be generational when you're the weak link?
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on it.
I agree. He's not very good defensively, innit? But what he offers going forward is what put him up there, innit? That's the thing. But yeah, man. Moving on to another apparent title challenge in United. So, in the midweek they smashed fucking Southampton 9-0, and then somehow, with like 30 seconds left against Everton, they concede. I don't know, man, about that club. I don't know, man. But let's go to our United correspondent. What's your general feelings about this? And I don't want to hear no Maguire slander because your whole defense is
Well, you already know. That's how I'm gonna
your whole
start.
defense is a bit
That's how I'm
suspect.
gonna
So
start. That's how I'm gonna start. Okay. Things with United, you have an attack capable of you winning the league, and you have a defense capable of getting relegated. How can you score 9 goals, equal the Premier League record, score 9 goals against Southampton, and then go and draw 3-3 against Everton? Highlights. The main issue is the defense. It was a mistake from Tuanzebe. I love Tuanzebe, but I can't lie, it has to be highlighted. He didn't need to make that tackle. It was unnecessary. Like, the game was pretty much done. We did not need to concede a free kick. He went to go make a silly challenge. Maybe it's inexperience. Maybe he just needs to get accustomed to life in the Premier League, playing at the level that he needs to play at United. Maguire is not a leader. I don't care what anyone says. We spent 80 million for a fridge. He can't command his box. He was playing the defenders onside even when the ball was played in for the last Everton goal. De Gea made an abysmal mistake for one of the Everton goals. Like, that period where we conceded 2 goals, we were 2-0 up to begin the game, going into half time, and we conceded 2 early goals in the second half. And the defense just completely capitulated. Like, Maguire, when he's next to Lindelof, does not look sturdy at all. When he plays with Bailly, it brings a balance because we actually have pace in the defense. But it's like the defense, it's just a whole mess. Like, we need to invest in the centre back if we want to seriously compete for a title. Because the attackers, they're doing their job. They're scoring goals. Sometimes they're a bit off form, but most of the time they do their job. Like, scoring 3 goals should be enough to score you a game. We scored 3 goals and we still drop points. Like, it's an issue that needs to be addressed.
question: is that Ollie's fault or is it a balance? Would you say?
I would say Ole was the one who signed Maguire. I don't know whether it was a Woodward signing. I'm assuming it was an Ole signing. I feel like it was an Ole signing. 80 mil for Maguire was just abysmal. Like, we could get a better player than Maguire for the 80 mil. Like, Leicester sold Maguire for 80 mil and then went to get 2 centre backs that are arguably better than Maguire and Sionchu and Fofana. So it's just the scouting system. It's, we see Maguire as a big, strong presence in the defense as an Englishman. Let's slap 80 million on him, when really there's talented defenders out there that are half the price that Maguire was. I feel like that was just lazy scouting on their part. And then to give him the captaincy, the guy just came to the club and you're giving him the captaincy. It's ridiculous. Like, the guy does not deserve to be the captain. He's not a leader. We see in that team that the evident leader is Bruno Fernandes. It's like, Ole, sometimes he lacks a bit of balls. Like, we can all see with our eyes that the leader of the team is Bruno, but you want to give Maguire the captaincy, even with the thing that happened in Greece. Like, he should have been stripped of the captaincy. But even before that, he should have been stripped of the captaincy because of defensively and just leadership-wise, is not the guy to take United forward, in my opinion, anyway. So I feel like Ole needs to grow a pair sometimes and make tough decisions.
What's your thoughts on United, Dan?
You know what? I think defensively, I see a lot of old Arsenal in United, in the fact that United like to blame a lot of their defensive mishaps on individual players. And understandably, a lot of players do make individual mistakes, but the defensive system as a whole is shocking. And that's the reason why these players are making the same mistakes. Because if we look at Arsenal now, we're a shocking team, but defensively we're solid. And that's because the system has changed to make us more defensively solid. The players are pretty much the exact same. Like, we've still got David Luiz, who's capable of making big mistakes. We've still got Holding, who's not very good. We've still got a lot of players who aren't very good defensively, but because we have a good defensive system, we can keep out more goals. And as a result, we've improved. And that was the opposite to what we were a couple of years ago. And that's what it is with United now. Like, I feel like United have scapegoated Maguire and Tuanzebe for that 3-3 draw, when in reality, the whole defense wasn't good enough. Like, they were 2-0 up and threw it away within the space of about 3 minutes. That's shocking from a team that's supposedly chasing the title. Like, I think that obviously Maguire is not good enough. He should never be the captain of United because his mentality is poor. Like, Josh, as someone we know was saying, you can make a very compelling argument that Maguire is a bit of a loser. He's been relegated countless times. He's lost countless semi-finals. What has he done to deserve United captain's armband? So I think that's not good enough for a team that should be challenging for the title. Obviously, the attack, they can score as many goals as they want. I think they're the highest scorers in the league. But if you're leaking goals at the back, there's not really much they can do. Like it's poor from everyone in that United defense, really. Like I think Maguire and Lindelof as a partnership is not good enough. United fans rate Bailly very highly. I think he's the best of a bad bunch, if I'm being honest. I think the reason he's rated so highly is because the sample size is kind of small. He's always injured, but he's better than what they have. So that's why I think he's rated a lot. But if they want to be serious, they need to go out and get not only a defender but a defensive midfielder as well, because that's what's lacking. Like I think the importance of a defensive midfielder is understated in teams because it provides that protection and that help for a back four that gives them cover and a bit more structure. And with McTominay and Fred, I mean, you can say what you want about them too. McTominay's been scoring goals this season, but he's not a good defensive midfielder. And Fred is his ball recovery is good, and he does turn up in the big games, but he's not really good at screening the back four, and he doesn't really have much positional discipline. So, for me, a player like Ndidi would be perfect for United. Ndidi to sit in front of that back four and a real quality centre back, and United I think will improve a lot.
So, Sarah, I think you wanted to say something, innit?
I think Dan's nailed it, to be honest. I just think it's important that I didn't Everton score with like three, wasn't it their first three shots on target in the second half or something? Maybe the first two goals anyway. Yeah, I just can't understand how Maguire is so slow for a centre-back who's only 27 years old. I look at him and I think the amount of tackles you could get to if you had an extra yard of pace, like it would be such a help. And again, the Bailly thing as well, because he's injured all the time as well. I do think you need to get a centre-back in. Obviously, I mentioned before, Upamecano looks like he's leaving to Bayern Munich. But to be honest, I mean, do we back the board to sign, make a competent decision and make a good decision to sign maybe a smart centre-back, I don't know, Kanate or Kunde or someone like that, and even a DM as well. If they can't get Ndidi, because we know Leicester are they drive a hard bargain, don't they? Could they get somebody else? I don't know who that person is. Maybe do a swap deal for Pogba and is it Benacer from Juventus? That might be a good move. But again, I think recruitment's really important this summer. I think every summer we feel like it feels like Man United need to sign more players. They need to keep signing the right wing situation. I don't know what's going on with that, but you know, it's going to get to a point where like they need to really go full throttle. I don't think they're too far away. And the captain thing as well. I think it should be Bruno, De Gea, or even Rashford. It should be somebody else. It shouldn't
Pogba,
be
why not
Maguire.
Pogba?
Nah,
I mean,
Pogba had his
he's not
chance.
in the
to be
team consistent
captain.
enough, is he?
Nah, he had
But-
the chance to be the captain and he blew it. So I don't think Pogba should ever.
But in terms of mentality, you could argue he has one of the best in the team. He's one of the only few winners in the
Yeah.
team.
But you can't, with a captain, you need stability, and with Paul Pogba, that's something that he doesn't bring.
And
Like, you have
Maguire
his
has
agent.
stability.
Yeah, but with Pogba, we know that he's leaving. You have his agent yapping about him going to Juventus every 10 seconds. We don't need that in a captain. Like,
Even Bruno
and
doesn't
he-
have stability. How many big games has Bruno turned up in?
no, we're
And it's
talking.
hard
I'm
work
talking
as
about.
well.
I'm
Bruno
talking
works
about
hard.
like we know that Paul Pogba is going to
I get
leave
what
the
Denzel
club
saying.
sooner or later. Like, so giving him the captaincy it won't do anything for stability. And when he was under Mourinho made him the captain, and I can't remember what he did, but he did something silly and he lost the captaincy. So Pogba's had his chance to show that he's a leader, and he hasn't proven it. Even with Bruno coming into the team, we're seeing Pogba play better because of the pressure has been eased on Pogba. So I don't think Paul Pogba is a leader, to be honest.
In
I
terms
don't
of
know.
United, I have a maybe unpopular opinion. I don't know, but when Denzel said they have a title winning attack and relegation, against the top six. I mean, besides the Spurs game where they had the red card, their defense has actually stopped some of the very big names from scoring goals. Kept clean sheets against they kept a clean sheet against Chelsea. They kept a clean sheet against City. Arsenal. They kept a clean sheet. Which of the top six side have they played?
Liverpool.
Liverpool, they kept it to
Yeah.
a clean sheet against Liverpool. But the consistent factor in all of that is that the attackers were not scoring in those games. And you can't be playing, top six sides and not, getting goals, because these are the games where eventually in the table, because imagine if, United have won these games against City, they probably would be top even mathematically, because, they just need a few points to. So, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, the defense is really questionable, but there are some games in which like the attackers should be doing more, should be getting the chances, should be scoring. I mean, like home and away against Arsenal, they didn't score a single goal, and I mean, as much as our defense has improved, still you don't see a team like City coming home and away to Arsenal not scoring, or even Liverpool, or even so
Do you not
yeah,
think it's the way they set up though? Because United, when they play the big games, let's not lie, United set up to stink out the place. United play against the top six in a way that we don't want to lose rather than we want to win. So it's not
yeah.
really fair on the attackers.
I guess so, but like in the game against us at the Emirates, I mean, they did have chances that they didn't take.
That's the only one though. That's the only
No,
one.
no,
That one.
Yeah.
Liverpool, Pogba had the big chance. Remember, they do have chances in the big
They do
games.
get chances in this game,
They
even
do.
if it's
Let's
just
not, yeah.
a bit of these chances here and there. But there's some that even Everton, I know they scored 3 goals, but I think towards the end of the game there were some chances that could have killed the game. I mean, you can't really you even if you're like, people always say, oh, because they scored 3, so you can be lenient on them, like the attackers done well. But if a game is 3-2, you get a chance, you take it. You have to take it, whether you're, um whether you've scored 3 goals in that game, whether you've scored a lot of goals, you still have to make that gap clear, so you know that the game is done and dusted. So as much as the defense has been, um not good this season, there are also times where their attack could have been, way better. And moving forward, they would have to address the defense and still eventually address the attack if they want to, challenge for the title, and not challenge, but eventually win the title most likely. So yeah.
Yeah. United, I don't know, man. The defense, I don't know about their defensive system. I don't really know what it is, so I'm not really gonna put an emphasis on it. But for me, I always look at the type of errors that are being made. If a guy isn't stepping out from a free kick, what defensive system am I gonna blame? If a keeper isn't saving a shot, or if he's pumping it back into the area, how can I blame the defensive system? You get what I'm saying? Obviously, you got to look at what leads to it beforehand. So looking at how open a side is and stuff like that, which I agree with. But individual errors is key. Is more time. What's the difference between a successful side and a side that doesn't win the league? In it, so
No, but Josh, you have to think though, as a coach, yeah, when you know you have players that are capable of making individual errors, you need to mitigate them errors. For example, David Luiz is very capable of making catastrophic errors. But Arteta, because he's aware of this, he has put him in a system where he's mitigated the risk of making them errors. And Oli, in my opinion, he hasn't done that. And that's why we're seeing them so exposed. It was the exact same with Arsenal. The
can I
exact
just say
same.
something though? I love David Luiz, but how many red cards has this guy got under Arteta?
I think 1 or 2,
I think it's
maybe
2.
3.
Is he in 3?
No, I think it's
I
3.
think it's
I think
2.
It's
It might be
3.
2 or 3. It might be 2 or 3.
Oh,
If it's 3, that's abysmal.
But
So
again,
So though,
huh?
but even so though, look how many
And then
goals
remember
Arsenal
against
conceded.
Man City when he came on. This is what I'm always going to say to people. As much as we love to talk about system, there's only so much you can push a player.
But
This is why I like to do is a 50-50 balance.
how consistent is that though? Because with United, it's every game the defense is making an individual mistake. Every single game, it's either De Gea or Maguire.
No, but if it's a basic thing of a guy isn't pushing up for a free kick, or the keeper's palming the shot into their dangerous area, these are like fundamental errors.
No, I understand that, but
if it was like Maguire's giving the ball away, you can look at the manager and saying, okay, you're playing out the back and you're playing with a guy that's not comfortable playing out the back. That is where you're saying, no, that's on the manager, because that's your philosophy. You're saying, I want my defender to play out the back. He isn't comfortable doing it, and I've seen it numerous occasions that he's given the ball away. That's where you say, okay, manager's at fault. If a guy isn't stepping out of line from a defensive free kick, How the fuck am I blaming the manager? This is why I get frustrated because people like to baby players now. These guys play for Man United, and we want to act like as if they're playing for Burnley, bruv.
But you're using one but you're using one individual circumstance. Like for United, it's every week. Every week is an individual mistake. And are you telling me that? So for Maguire, for Leicester, and for England, was he making these individual mistakes? I don't think he was.
Watching him like that,
it's because it's at Man United, the microscope's going to be on them a lot more. Like, when you make mistakes for a big club like Man United, they're going to be highlighted more than a Leicester.
Yeah.
But even so, like, he's making Lindelof every week.
The Everton game before that final goal by Calvert-Lewin, he did make another error. I think where he tried to pass to, I can't remember who he tried to pass to, but he tried to pass back. And I think Calvert-Lewin intercepted the ball, passed it, then Richarlison shot wide. But yeah, those mistakes, I don't know. It's a bit like the mistakes where, like, a player is trying to make a pass that he shouldn't be making or stuff like that. I guess you could say it's a bit of both at the end of the day, because I mean, with good coaching, there are some mistakes that players shouldn't be making. But at the end of the day, like Josh is saying, it's still down to the player. There's only so much coaching you can do, that to stop them. There's still some errors that, you have to say, why are you doing this at the end of the day? Because no amount of coaching can still stop some players from just, making these type of errors. Although it could be improved, it could be better. And yeah, it's not looking better for United. It's just looking like the same thing over and over again. The defense is not looking good and stuff like that.
But also, the onus was on him as captain to lead that line, to push that line up 10, 15 yards up. That's not an error. That's just basic footballing, facts. Like, he's the captain. He's got to be doing that. That's nothing to do with errors. So he's at fault for the reason they drew that game.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying managers can't take accountability for their players. Obviously, it is their players. But I'm just saying there has to be more of a balance with it. I feel like there's too much of an emphasis on managers. I think because of the whole system thing of managers almost babying every single thing a player does. And I just feel like it's a bit unfair. Obviously, I understand what Dan is saying in terms of the system. So look at the systematic element of it. Are players being put in a position where they're going to make those errors in the first place, which perfectly makes sense.
Like, for example, when United played the Big Six games, how many individual errors lead to goals? Obviously, we won't talk about the Spurs game because that was a shambles. But how many? And it's because the system they're playing is defensive. There's not as much open. Against Arsenal, they didn't really make individual errors. It was Pogba who made the error, gave away the penalty.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, what you're saying is facts. What you're saying is facts, yeah. So but I think what I'm just saying is, like, we also just gotta contextualize the type of errors that are being made, innit? So just looking at the errors.
But like my point is the United fans are kind of scapegoating the players when in reality it's not all that. Don't get me wrong, a lot of them are not good enough, but they're not the sole reason why they're not good enough.
Yeah. But the thing with Maguire, it's like he's so bad that when he has a decent performance. Now, let me just say something quickly. Like, when he has a decent performance, like West Ham, he didn't really have too much to do, and they gave him man of the match. Why is he getting man of the match for doing
English bias?
Exactly, he's getting man of the match for doing what he's supposed to do. Like, it's not like he put in an amazing defensive performance. He just did what he was supposed to do, and he's getting man of the match performances. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And I feel like we need to be allowed to scrutinize players. Obviously not too much, but when it's reasonable to scrutinize them, then we have to do that. We're not saying Maguire's a scapegoat. Even if he is the scapegoat, he's the captain. He should bear the brunt of what's going on. So all this we're scapegoating Maguire, like, it's warranted at times.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't expect your defense to improve massively just when one player comes in, though. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, even if you sign
you need a couple players. You need a couple players, definitely.
Yeah. I think with every title in the side, you need a spine, and we don't really know what United's spine is right now. But moving on to another side that probably needs a spine as well is Spurs. And let's be honest, when we talk about Spurs, we're only talking about Jose. We don't really care about Spurs. So let's keep it 100. What do you think? What do we think Spurs, Jose is going to achieve at Spurs, Dan?
I'll be real with you. I've said this since the start. I think he'll win the Europa League. It's just such a Jose thing to do. He'll be horrible all season in the league. He'll play disgusting, anti-terrorist football, and then he'll go and stink out the Europa League and win it. And then he'll be shameless in the press conference and claim that he's the best manager in the world because he's playing with bums. But Spurs have I don't think it's how bad they've been in terms of results. I think they've just looked so poor, especially without Kane. They've looked abysmal against Brighton. Brighton should have beat them 3 or 4-0.
They should
Brighton
have, yeah.
and against Everton as well, letting in 5. Jose, I think there was a quote from Jose Mourinho where he mocked Arsene Wenger for winning 5-4 and said, "You shouldn't be winning 5-4. That's a cricket score." When Jose Mourinho has now lost 5-4, and to be conceding 5 is very bad, especially considering you came to stink it out. Jose Mourinho, I don't understand the appointment from a Spurs point of view, as in, I don't know why they gave him 4 years, because Jose Mourinho he's never showed that he can do 4 years in his career, never. They should have gave him probably 2 years. I'm pretty sure he's the highest paid manager in the world. So for them to sack him is going to cost a lot of money. They're already in debt from the stadium. And obviously COVID as well. Yeah, Spurs, I think he's going to win the Europa League, which, they'll be happy for, but that will probably only paper over the cracks, in my opinion. I think he'll probably set them back another 2, maybe 3 years from being where they want to be, which is obviously challenging for the title.
That's an interesting thing where Spurs really want to be. Like, let's be honest, but
they're just overachievers. Let's be honest. Spurs are just overachievers. They hit a purple patch under Pochettino, and somehow now they think that they're a big hitter in terms of Europe. Jose Mourinho is bigger than their club. Let's be honest, and he can pretty much do whatever he wants and say whatever he wants. That's the only reason he went there, because he's the highest paid manager in the world, I'm pretty sure, and he has freedom to do whatever he wants. So I don't see them sacking him anytime soon. I think he could finish 8th or 9th and they'd still keep him in the job. So I don't think he'll help them in the long run, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Before I move on to Ori, I think the sacking talk is a bit reactionary.
No, 100%.
If I'm being honest, I'm not sure about that one. But yeah, Ori, what's your thoughts on Jose and what he can achieve at Spurs, isn't it?
Yeah, like, he was obviously brought there to obviously try and win the title, and
honestly, title?
At the end of the day, that's what their objective would be when they bring him in, because Pochettino had his moment and he was close to winning the title some occasions. So I felt they just felt like they needed something fresh. They felt like they were almost there, but in reality, it was just like Dan said, a purple patch with Pochettino. Mourinho's type of football, it just gets very depressing. He doesn't like to explore. He doesn't like to try out new things. He just without Kane in the side, they look so awful. He had to rush Kane back to play against West Brom because Kane was injured, and even in the beginning of the match, Kane didn't look very fit. But he had to risk it even against a side like West Brom, because he knows that without Kane, basically that team is just it's just shambles. The game against Everton, the 5-4, conceding 5 goals, like Dan said, it's not something that you should be doing as a top side. All around, it doesn't look really promising. Even the signings he made, he got Doherty. Now he's not even playing. He's playing Aurier right back. Bill was probably one of the most useless signings, because they just bought him because nostalgia, and he's played for the club once. So let's sign Bill. But I guess everybody could really tell Bill was kind of
some people thought he was gonna do bits, man. Some people actually thought he was gonna do.
Nah, I feel like Zidane already even knew, that, Bill is not even if he was going to do anything, it wouldn't really be that much to make a difference in the side. Then the midfield, is good, I would say, but at the end of the day, when Kane doesn't play, you really see that they do need an attacking midfielder, which they don't have. I mean, they do have in Dele Alli, but I mean, Mourinho has been playing him for some reason. Their defense centre back pair, yeah, I don't really like Rondon. I don't think he's that good.
In fairness, he just came from Swansea, innit? But overall, you don't think he's going to do much?
I don't really think he's going to do much. All the world is good. All the world is good. I don't really have much to say about him. He's a good defender. Sanchez, yeah, he can be questionable. Overall with that side, a different manager can do way, can do much more with that side. So it's just kind of a thing where, at the end of the day, it's just Mourinho. It's just the way he's just style of football is just really like, even everywhere he goes, even to United, it showed as well. But like Dan said, winning the Europa is something he could do. I mean, he did do it with United, so yeah, we can't put it past him. But in terms of the league, I mean, they just had that patch where they were playing well, and their fans were already thinking, they were probably going to win the league or something. But yeah, just I can't really see anything promising for them. Yeah, just think, it's not looking very bright.
What about you, Denzel? What's your thoughts on what Jose can achieve? What's his ceiling at Spurs?
For me, ceiling's Carabao Cup and maybe a Europa League if we're being nice. It's just the history of Tottenham Hotspurs. They don't win trophies. I feel like they'll be happy if they manage to get a Europa League or a Carabao Cup. For them, that's satisfactory. His man management is terrible. Like, even the whole situation with Bell, like with him posting that he's fit to play, something about Instagram post where he said he was ready to play, and then obviously he wasn't ready to play, and then Mourinho coming out in the press and talking about that. The whole thing, it's just his man management's a bit off. I see like essences of what happened at United happening at Spurs. And like Ori was saying, without Kane, they just don't look a threat. He's been backed. That's the one thing that he can't argue about. Like at United, you could say that it wasn't his signings and he wasn't backed. Fair enough. At Tottenham, he's been backed. So I don't think he can say anything to the board. So yeah, with Mourinho, it's a sticky one. I don't know. I feel like the ceiling is Carabao and Europe.
Sarah.
I mean, at the moment they're only 1 point off top four, if I'm mistaken. I also think as well the fact that Brighton they play very good football, and yeah, Tottenham got schooled that day. If Jose just changed the system even slightly, just to accommodate a bit more thrust in the midfield, a bit more creativity, the reliance on Kane wouldn't even be that much. That squad is very, very, very good. Like, it is quite good. Maybe the defense needs a bit of work, but the fullbacks are decent, the midfield's decent, the DMs are decent, the wingers are very good, strikers are very good. I mean, he can do a lot better with that team. I think, the fact that he said the joke about the 5-4 with Everton and how he doesn't want to lose it, that's his bread and butter, not to concede goals. That's what his defence and his systems are made from. So when Everton are bringing on Seamus Coleman and they have two senior players on their bench and they have kids on the bench, I mean, I'm concerned. And they have to use Kane when, they should be saving him, to be honest. And a lot of his decisions are just questionable, man. Like playing like Sissoko as a fullback or whatever, and then like Doherty on the left wing, and just I get Ore said that they've only got Dele Alli attacking midfield, but I'm sure Lo Celso should get more game time. I know he's been injured a couple of times, but he should get more game time there. Ndombele is not an attacking midfielder. He scored one crazy goal, and everyone thinks he's like the son of the earth. But it's just a few tactical decisions that need to be made. And like Daniel Levy as well, like I feel like the situation with Dele Alli and Gareth Bale is that they've got these two world-class, like very good players, if we're being honest. And if they wanted to, with Dele Alli in particular, they should sell him.
Wait.
I'm just gonna stop you there, bro. World class.
That's a howler. That's a howler, bro.
No, I didn't mean world-class. I meant very good.
What?
I meant very good. Let me finish my point. Like Daniel Levy, I feel like he's in that position where he wants probably to keep Dele Alli for as long as possible. But obviously Jose doesn't rate him because he's not that warrior type player. The Gareth Bale situation is, okay, I don't rate Gareth Bale as highly as a lot of people. And that was a mistake by me. But yeah, silly move. 600k a week down the drain. And I do think he has to win something in the next 2 seasons. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't win anything this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if later on in a couple of days he goes 5 at the back against City.
Definitely, I hear that.
100%.
Yeah, those are all the topics. I know, Sarah, you wanted to mention something about Mike Dean, your best friend. What do you want to say about him?
Yeah, I mean, I respect the FA for overturning the decision. It should never have got to that stage in the first place. And the abuse that he's getting is completely, not needed. But I think, just the howlers in the decisions, not just from Mike Dean, but, it's just not good enough, man. Like, this game is millions and millions is pumped into this game. And if you can't get the right decisions, just on the pitch in a couple of minutes, then I'm sorry. Like, it just needs to be a lot better.
I think one thing we have to start looking at is getting a bit more younger and fitter referees, because I feel like a lot of them are very unfit. And you can see, like, I was watching one of them run and man looked out of breath, innit? Yeah, man looked out of breath.
Gets in the way. Michael Oliver always gets in the way.
But isn't Mike Oliver kind of young, innit?
And he's young. He runs like a robot.
No, we need to get foreign refs because the foreign refs are significantly better.
Yeah.
How can refs from Hungary and Austria be being picked over professional English refs? It's shocking. It's shocking.
But yeah, obviously we're gonna end quickly. But obviously the usual. Well, anybody want to say something? Okay. Just the usual stars and wild of the week. I think it's quite universal. Ralph 9-0 twice. I don't know. That's
a couple
abysmal.
wallets.
But yeah. What are we saying? Who's our nominees?
Alisson.
The FA.
Alisson is there.
William Saliba.
Oh my god. Yeah, Saliba's definitely up there. I say, I hate to say it, but the Man United defense. I'd have to go with Tuanzebe and Maguire for my nominations for World of the Week.
With the new Chuckle Brothers.
No, I wouldn't go that far. I don't think we can give Tuanzebe the Chuckle Brother a thing. Just yeah. Maguire's on his way to being a Chuckle Brother though. Him and Lindelof.
You know what? Mine is actually Leno, to be honest, because that was just very, very, very. I don't know. As a professional footballer, using your hand outside the box, and he literally, he even had it yeah. I just, it's just something very shocking. I know in the moment, you don't really think when a player is running at you, but at the end of the day, man, it was just a very stupid thing to do. But yeah. He is for me.
Yeah, man. And that's it for another week. The usual. Any final words? Anybody want to say anything? No.
We didn't do stars of the week.
Stars of the week. Yeah, who's the star then? Who's the star?
Quickly,
yeah.
I'm gonna give mine to. Yeah, Foden's a good shot.
Foden.
Yeah, I was going to say Foden.
Yeah.
Give him his props.
I just want to give a special mention to Aaron Wan-Bissaka because it looks like he's improving his attacking play a lot. I feel like the wing backs are really doing well for United at the moment. It's just a shame that the centre backs aren't doing the same. But yeah, I'd say Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw, a special shout out to them.
I was going to shout out Suarez, 2 goals. Now he has like 16, highest goal scorer outright. So yeah, still showing that he's a top striker. So
Definitely, man. Big up Suarez, man. But fuck you at the same time. But yeah, I think that's it, man. I think that's it. Thank you for another episode. Obviously, as usual, like, comment, subscribe. Follow the socials. Should be in the description. But as usual, man, it's been a pleasure. See you next week. Stay blessed, people.